And Pete brought up the issue that we wanted to get rid of the Taliban in Afghanistan because we wanted a good government there. But we're theoretically a democracy, and so we put Karzai in. Well, now we're introducing democracy, but what's just happened now?
Can I speak to that really quick? When
Yeah.
you said democracy, but from what I understand about the people of Afghanistan, is freedom to them is anarchy. That's what they view as freedom, not democracy. Democracy is like putting chains on them. Those are, from what I understand, they value that way of life. And us coming over there and telling them we're going to install democracy is like, telling that somebody's going to come over here and install communism on us. And that's what it would appear to them. I mean, I can understand where they're coming from. Can you imagine if China had bases here in the United States and had troops? We'd be a little pissed off, too. It wouldn't be a good thing. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know about that question of anarchy. Anarchy can mean different things. Noam Chomsky, for instance, is an anarchist, and I certainly support Noam Chomsky, but then other aspects of anarchy I don't think I would support. But back to the question, even though we say we're introducing democracy, it's hypocrisy, because what is happening now, Karzai fixed the election in Afghanistan. That's been admitted in the mainstream media, and now they're going to have a runoff. But what is Hillary Clinton, our Secretary of State? She's getting on TV and saying, "Oh, well, Karzai's going to win." Where's the justice for the opposition candidate? The opposition candidate has had 30% of the vote, even in the fixed election.
Right.
So I would think there's a real chance that he's the one that the Afghanistan people really want. And he's not the Taliban. He's just a regular, what we would call a Democrat. And where is the justification for our fixing the election to keep Karzai's corrupt government in there, even by our own standard? Now, whether or not some of the Afghanistan or all of the Afghan people want anarchy, I don't know. But
the point is we should leave them alone, be friends with them, trade with them, and let them solve their own problems. It's not our business to be going in there and telling them what to do and trying to solve their problems. We have enough problems in the United States that need to be solved, that aren't being solved. And I just see no point in even us, we shouldn't be involved at all.
That's right. I agree completely with that. And Pete, have you been in the Army?
No. No.
I haven't either.
And I want to put an addendum on what I said, only because I don't blame these kids that joined the Army, just like Dennis did, because in a lot of cases right now the economy's tough, and a lot of these kids have no other choice. And you know what? It's very hard to not accept $40,000 if somebody's going to hand you $40,000 and you're just out of college, and they're increasing the payments higher and higher to try to get people in. I mean, part of it, I think, is a result of it's hard to talk somebody into this because they don't really know why they're going, okay? And a young kid has no job, just got out of high school. They had an article in Time magazine about the recruiters, how it's such a tough job, and these guys have a real high suicide rate because they're isolated and they have to go, out to shopping malls and schools and try to recruit these kids. And then, of course, they have to, unfortunately, they have some personal attachment, and they find out that somebody that they recruited, got killed over. It's a terrible thing. It's the policies of the government that we're unhappy with. The policies of the government are what is forcing these people to do this, to make these payments, to talk these kids into going over and lying to them to do this, okay? So it's a very, very small percentage of the population. I mean, we talked about the Afghani people just want us out, okay? The reason Karzai's in there is because he will allow us to stay. The majority of the people want us out of there, just like the majority of the people in the United States want us out of there. They don't want war. Most people don't want war. It's not, unfortunately, it's not our call. We're out of the loop. It's the policies, and you talked about Congress marching, lockstep in with whatever's going on. I unfortunately wasn't as optimistic as many people about Obama, and I just saw him doing the exact same thing. I was hoping I was wrong. I said to my wife, I hope I'm wrong. I hope this guy does half of the stuff that he said he's going to do, but he hasn't done any of the important things. He hasn't gotten us out of the war. He's re-signed on every horrible Bush policy, wiretapping, eavesdropping, torture, rendition, everything. He signed back up. No habeas corpus. You can still, I mean, they can arrest me tomorrow in the streets of Burlington, put me in jail indefinitely without charging me for a crime, and keep me there as long as they want because of a Bush policy that Obama recently re-signed. All they have to say is that they think I'm a terrorist. End of the story. Done. They have to have no proof. They don't have to show any proof. They don't, and it's horrible. I mean, this is the United States of America. And that's what some of these guys said when they went to Guantanamo. They weren't worried because they said, it's the United States of America. We'll be treated fairly. Wow, were they wrong.
Well, it goes back to because the corporations, you know, Wall Street killed Main Street. These young kids have less opportunities in their local communities now. In Vermont, you know, it seems like we sort of export our children out of Vermont. And I find that unfortunate because if we could regain control of Main Street, I think we could build opportunities here in Vermont for our young people to stay in the state. And that's important to me because I would love to have my children be able to live here in this beautiful state and make a living and raise their family here. I'd love to see my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, you know, continue on. You know, when I left, it took me a long time to get back. And you know, you're cut from your roots when you do that, and you join the military, and you're just snipped from your roots, and you sort of lose touch with your home. And I'm fortunate to be able to come back and live here in the Northeast Kingdom. But that's what I want for my children. And if we can realize that, if we can revitalize the local economies, we can create a future for our children here locally. And give them more opportunities, and then they're not going to be looking at the military as the only option. You know.
How old are your children now?
5 and 2. Yeah, and my son's turning 3 next week. Yeah.
So your son is 2, going on 3.
Yeah.
And your daughter is 5.
5. Yeah. And we're homeschooling now because I fear the public school system of indoctrinating into the military-industrial complex. So we are going to homeschool as long as we can. So I just can't do it. I can't put them in the public school system because the feds have got their hands in it, and I don't feel comfortable with what's happening and what they're doing. So. And
that means you're paying double for their education, right? Because you pay school taxes for the schools, and then you have to pay again for the homeschooling.
It wasn't like that. I heard in the past that you could actually, you know, get money from the state if you're homeschooling, and that would have been a way to rebel against the system. But they've taken that away from us now, and that's in place. Yeah.
When you say you used to support Obama and now you don't, I disagree with that.
Well, I heard the very first speech he gave, and he was talking about, with me, the hot button was ending the wars, and he really was harping on that. So I just bought into that whole thing and was going with what he was saying. And like I said, then I one night tuned into I figured I would tune in. I told myself, I'm going to check out, see what the warmongers are doing, and I turned on the debate, and there was a 72-year-old man saying, close all the bases, you know, bring all of our troops home, and I was just about floored. And I went, oh, that guy's talking real stuff.
That was Ron Paul.
Yeah, he's talking real, you know, and so that's why I just went that way.
Well, I take a more practical view. I supported Obama in the election, and I still support Obama. But back in the primary, I supported Dennis Kucinich. And I went to New Hampshire and I worked on his campaign. And supporting Obama was a compromise. He was the lesser of the evils. And I'm not surprised that he's let us down. And I certainly do everything I can to change things. But at this point in time, we have a winner-take-all system, two-party system, and in order to have an effect, you have to support the better candidate as opposed, even though he may be a disappointment. I'm glad that Obama's there as opposed to John McCain. I think we'd be much worse off if we had John McCain there. But
I see no difference.
You see no difference?
Should we have a debate now?
They're both owned, operated, and controlled by corporate America. It doesn't matter. There's no. It would have been no. It might have been easier to have a revolution with McCain in there, but I think there's no difference.
But let's be clear. We're not talking about a violent revolution.
No, No, the peaceful revolution, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Our
Rebelling
Constitution.
against the system, the Constitution, constitutional, well, of course, Vermont becoming its own independent republic, if you want to lead. That's how you rebel against the system, to me, is you have to bring about a peaceful solution, or peaceful revolution is the only option we have, because our government has lost its moral authority, it's ungovernable, therefore it's unfixable, is secession. That is our fundamental right. A group can form and a group also can disband, according to Thomas Jefferson. And that's what needs to happen. We create a new metaphor. Vermont creates a new metaphor of how to live localized, decentralized lives. And we create the model for the rest of the United States, or for the world, for that matter.